In just one operation, over $439 million in stolen money was seized. Thousands of fake companies, hundreds of arrests, and one of the biggest coordinated crackdowns on online fraud the world has ever seen. This wasn't a movie, this was real. A global hunt led by Interpol, spanning over 60 countries, targeting scammers, cybercriminals, and financial fraud networks that had been draining victims for years. But how exactly did it all happen? Who were the masterminds behind these global scams? And how did Interpol manage to track, freeze, and recover nearly $500 million scattered across the world? Let's break down the inside story of Operation HAECHI IV, the massive global fraud bust that sent shockwaves through the underworld of cybercrime. While the world was focused on viruses and lockdowns, another kind of pandemic was spreading quietly, digitally, and globally. Scams. From romance frauds and fake job offers to investment schemes and crypto theft, criminals were cashing in on fear, confusion, and desperation. According to Interpol, global financial scams surged by over 80% after 2020. Criminals learned to weaponize the internet not with guns, but with emails, fake links, and social engineering. They didn't need to break into banks anymore. They just needed to break into people's trust. Every click, every message, every limited offer became a potential trap. And behind those traps were organized networks stretching from Asia to Europe, from Africa to the Americas. Governments were losing control. Police in one country could barely trace money that vanished into another. The criminals were operating across borders, while law enforcement was still playing catch-up. That is when Interpol stepped in. They decided to fight back, not locally, but globally. And that is how Operation HAECHI IV was born. HAECHI, a Korean word meaning protector from evil, a fitting name for Interpol's international campaign against cyber-enabled financial crime. It all started years ago with HAECHI I, a small test run in Asia. After massive success, Interpol expanded the operation, building stronger cooperation between police, banks, and cyber units across continents. By the time HAECHI IV launched in 2023, the operation had become a worldwide effort. Over 60 countries took part, from Nigeria to Singapore, from the US to Spain, from South Korea to South Africa. This wasn't just a police operation, it was a war room. Interpol created digital command centers where data analysts tracked suspicious transactions in real time. Financial intelligence units monitored cross-border wire transfers, crypto wallets, and fake business accounts. They followed the money, and soon, the web began to unravel. For months, agents were quietly watching the flow of funds. They saw millions moving between continents every day. Small amounts here, big transfers there, all seemingly normal. But when they contacted the dots, they uncovered something massive. A global web of fake companies, crypto exchanges, romance scams, and investment fraud rings, all moving money through mail accounts. These are real bank accounts opened under fake identities used to move dirty money without triggering alarms. By the end of the operation, Interpol had identified over 6,000 criminal networks and seized $439 million worth of stolen funds. Think about that. $439 million recovered before it disappeared forever into the dark web of laundering schemes. The bust involved more than 3,500 arrests and the freezing of 82,000 bank accounts. And some of those accounts were linked to high-profile scams like fake crypto investments, romance traps, and business email compromise attacks that had stolen millions from small businesses and individuals alike. To understand the scale of this operation, we need to understand how these scams actually worked. Take the investment scam, one of the most popular. A scammer poses as a financial advisor or online trader. They promise huge returns, show fake screenshots of profits, and slowly lure the victim in. At first, the victim sees fake profits in their accounts. They invest more, and then the site disappears. Their money gone. Then there is romance fraud, emotional, personal, and devastating. Scammers create fake profiles, build relationships, and then suddenly claim there's an emergency, hospital bills, travel problems, or a great business opportunity. Victims send money, sometimes everything they own, to someone who never existed. And finally, the business email compromise, BEC, a global nightmare. Hackers impersonate CEOs or suppliers, send fake invoices, and trick companies into wiring large sums to fraudulent accounts. These scams don't just steal money, they destroy trust. And they've become so convincing that even educated professionals, big companies, and banks fall for them. The lines between cybercrime, fraud, and organized crime have blurred completely. It's no longer a few hackers in a basement. It's a global industry. The hardest part about fighting financial crime isn't finding the scammers. It's finding the money. Once it's sent, it travels through multiple banks, shell companies, and crypto wallets within seconds. It's like chasing smoke in a storm. But Interpol developed new tools to make it possible. They use what they call the Global Rapid Intervention of Payments (iGRIP), a fast alert platform connecting financial crime units around the world. When a victim reported a scam, Interpol could instantly alert other countries to freeze the funds before they vanish. This was revolutionary. For the first time, a stolen payment made in one country could be blocked in another within hours. That is how Interpol managed to claw back hundreds of millions in real time. In some cases, the victims even got their money back, something that almost never happens in international fraud cases. As the operation unfolded, authorities launched hundreds of simultaneous raids from Seoul to Sao Paulo, from Nairobi to Paris. Scammers who thought they were untouchable were suddenly caught off guard. In Nigeria, police dismantled a syndicate that had been running fake investment platforms for years. In Singapore, an entire call center operation was shut down. Dozens were arrested. And in Europe, several key money mules and crypto brokers linked to laundering rings were taken into custody. In one case, a single suspect was found controlling over $50 million in assets stolen from victims across multiple continents. This wasn't just about recovery, it was about sending a message. Cybercrime is not invisible anymore. Every transfer, every fake account, every anonymous wallet leaves a digital footprint, and Interpol is now following those footprints faster than ever. The $439 million seizure was a major victory, but it's just the tip of the iceberg. Experts estimate that trillions are still being stolen every year through online fraud and scams that go unreported. Operation HAECHI IV proved that cooperation works, but it also showed how vulnerable the global financial system still is. Every day, criminals create new scams. They evolve, adapt, and exploit human emotion, greed, loneliness, or fear. But there is a growing sense of unity among law enforcement agencies. The next generation of fraud fighting is data-driven, global, and fast. Interpol has already confirmed that HAECHI IV is on the way, expanding even further to include crypto tracing and AI-based fraud detection. The message is clear. The internet may be borderless, but justice is learning to cross borders too. Behind every $439 million seized are real people. People who lost savings, who fell for scams, who trusted the wrong link. This massive operation wasn't just about stopping criminals. It was about restoring faith that even in a world full of digital deceit, truth still wins when nations unite. Because the fight against cybercrime is no longer one country's battle. It's everyone's. And if there is one thing Operation HAECHI IV proved, it's this: no matter how smart criminals think they are, there's always someone smarter, watching, waiting, and ready to strike. This was the inside story of Interpol's massive global fraud bust. 439 million seized, thousands arrested, and one message to the world: the internet is not a safe haven for crime anymore.